afternoon. My book, Letters from Gelvan, came very close to never being written. It all started this way. My father, Morris Edelman, came to live with me and my family shortly after my mother died. I soon became aware of a green velvet tallis bag filled with Yiddish letters, and they resided in a drawer in my father's room. The letters were posted from From Gelvan in Lithuania, and they were written by my grandfather, David Peretz Andemer. Of course, I could not read the letters, so I began to urge my father to go over them with me. At first he agreed and promised tomorrow, and then next week, and after continual postponement, I realized he could not and would not revisit these letters with me. Finally, he asked to be buried with the letters. I was desperate to have them translated while he lived. After many rejections, I found an educator, Sender Wajman, who agreed to take over the project, but there were many delays. An appointment was scheduled for the first week in June. My father died on May 28th. Despite the timing, I kept the appointment. Sender charged me by the word, and it was the best money I ever spent. It unlocked a history that will haunt our family forevermore. The first letter was written in January 1910. The last letter was dated Erev Sukkot, October 1925. They tell the story of longing, fear, and extreme poverty. In 1910, my grandfather writes about receiving rubles from close relatives in America. I'll share parts of these letters with you. The first one, 1910 Thursday, Parsha Be'era. Long life and peace to my dear as my own life, Moshe Yosef. I thank God for his goodness in giving me such good messengers. I can tell you, my dear son, that I was going barefoot and I had a pair of shoes made, but they cost me 40 rubles. There was a wall missing upstairs, but now as I write to you, I had a wall made for 12 rubles. Thank God for all his goodness and wonders, but I still owe the Gentile 30 rubles, for which I have to pay 1 groschen per ruble interest. I can also write to you, my son, that mother is sending you a separate letter enclosed here. Please ask Nechamala, Nechamala is my father's sister, to write about her health and her living standards. And most important, she should observe the holy day of Shabbos. It will be the best present for me. I ask of you that you write about Faiva, his brother, and Nechama, since they don't write too often. You know already about my teaching. It is a poorly paid job. God should have pity on us and you and give us honorable and improved livelihoods. From me, your father, who wishes you much happiness, and you should also take care of my daughter, Nechama. The Baba, grandmother, wishes you a lot of happiness always, Be well, dear child, Moshe Yosef. The next letter, I'm skipping a lot, is written.
Gerry.
You want to put it on? Okay.
Sorry.
All right, is that better?
Yeah.
Oh, good. The next letter is written, that I'm sharing, September 2nd, 1912. And my grandfather exhorts, again, try to make a good match for your only dear sister. And now, as long as she is young and pretty, it will be easier to find her a husband. Dear son, my request is that you be as a father to her. And God will help you and will certainly aid you in the good deed of getting her married. That's repeated throughout. Another letter is written in 1920. This is right after World War I. This letter was written by my grandfather to his brother Shlomo. David Peretz, my grandfather, was in desperate straits, dealing with the grief of my grandmother, Fega, and abject poverty of the times. He says, the inflation is very high here. A quart of milk costs 3 rubles. I had a goat, and when the Germans came, during the very first month, wild dogs killed my goat. Now a goat costs 400 rubles, and a cow costs 4,000 rubles. Now we go on, and we come to 1925. In 1925, he writes a letter. This one is very pivotal. He writes in part, I will write and tell you about the guests that I had. Uncle Shlomo's son, Michael David, came to see me from America Shabbos Eve at the end of July. Uncle Shlomo sent him to see how I spend my days and what kind of a life I have. And now I'm going to, oops, I lost it. In this last letter, written Erev Sukkot, 1925, my grandfather talks about me. Tell me if Fegala is a healthy child and how old she is. May she live 120 years. Can she talk? Can she say mama and daddy? I have only recently realized that in his final days on this earth, my grandfather's very last written words expresses concern about me, Fegala, when I was 3 years old. Following this last letter, we discover an original copy of the Jewish foreword reporting in great length the murder of David Peretz Andaman and his wife. The headline reads, 3 bandits sentenced to death for murdering an old sexton and his wife. After all the talk in the neighborhood about my grandfather's wealthy American visitor, a group of young men planned a robbery, and in the process, they murdered my grandfather and his wife. This book has rolled around in my head for many years, and it gives me great satisfaction and peace. It represents a measure of immortality for my extraordinary father, Morris Ailman, and his father, David Peretz Andaman.